I want to explore very briefly the strange and turbulent convergence of ideology and vengeance at the heart of Britain's Labour Party, and at its centre stands this web of influence spun by Blue Labour, a post-liberal tradition mixing worker solidarity with cultural conservatism and enforced by its most zealous functionary, Morgan McSweeny. What began as a moral project to revive Labour's roots has changed like cancer into a ruthless campaign of controlled censorship and suspension, and the consequences are being felt across the left, among trade unions and the uneasy soul of Keir Starmer's premiership. Blue Labour was never meant to be a purge machine conceived by Lord Maurice Glassman in the wreckage of the 2008 financial crash. It drew, I believe, on Catholic social teaching, Karl Polanyi and British mutualist traditions. It advocated a politics of community over individualism, work over finance, belonging over globalism. Its vision seems to me to have been noble, if occasionally nostalgic and occasionally misguided, to re-embed the economy in society, to reroute labour in its working class base, and to recover a politics of dignity and reciprocity. The problem is it seems to have been overtaken by a desire to out-Farage. And Keir Starmer, though personally managerial in temperament, became its unlikely vehicle, and its true executor, Morgan McSweeny, disciple of Glassman, architect of Starmerism. McSweeny is no ideologue in the traditional sense. He's not interested in theory, he's interested in results. But his methods betray a strategy not of leadership but of enforcement. Take the suspensions of the Labour MPs who voted against benefit cuts. These were not mere disciplinary actions, they were punishment beatings, as one MP put it. Retaliatory, personal, precisely timed. Jacob Rees-Mogg is appalled by the expulsion of these MPs from Labour. It's and he's right. It's a vicious form of censorship. Among the casualties, Rachel Maskell, the soft left MP with a reputation for decency. Diane Abbott, suspended for a second time. Well, I agree with that in a way, but I think she should have literally been encouraged to resign from Parliament for repeating the same appalling comments that she said she'd apologised in the first place, even as her own constituents watched in disbelief. The message is clear: disobedience is terminal. In a perverse irony, the party that once championed workers now threatens its own MPs with political unemployment. It's easy to assume that this is only about the hard left, Corbynites, momentum, identity activists, but Starmer and McSweeny have widened the net by targeting the soft left, moderates, even former allies. They're not merely cleansing Labour of Corbynism, they are re-engineering it entirely. The goal, a party where dissent is not managed but eliminated. This is a new kind of centralism, not the bland Fabianism of old, nor the Blairite adoration of markets. It's something called its post-liberal managerialism, married to cultural conservatism, enforced by operatives with dossiers. It's much closer to what happens in Russia under Putin. The timing is instructive. These suspensions came in the middle of two simultaneous stories: the government in crisis over the catastrophic Afghan data breach, a prime minister claiming to apologise for alienating his own backbenchers over welfare. Instead of uniting, Starmer's team attacked. Instead of offering moral clarity, they opted for strategic vendetta. And when your internal enemies take up more energy than your external enemies, then you're no longer leading, you're lashing out. There are whispers that this is not just a left-wing containment, it's about succession. One Labour MP told Byline Times that the long-term objective is to demoralise the left so comprehensively that the membership either leaves or submits, and therefore clears the path for a new leader. Wes Streeting is one of the candidates that is preferred by the party's right flank. waiting in the wings. He's not quite ready yet. I would think West Streeting is a very good choice, by the way. The logic is as brutal as it is strategic. Let Starmer carry the electoral burden, then replace him with someone bolder, brasher and more market-friendly, once the left and its trade union base has been neutralised. But the unions have noticed. Sharon Graham of Unite has signalled what would once have been unthinkable, possible disaffiliation. We can't keep writing blank cheques, she's warned. Well, who could blame her? A Labour Party that distances itself from the workers, yet clings to corporate donors, may win the battle of the middle class, but loses the soul of Labour altogether. What began as a project of solidarity and community now threatens to become an elite exercise in control, policed by technocrats, paid for by financiers, devoid of love or loyalty from its own roots. And at the same time, of course, the ideology of attacking anybody else is still there. You see that in the private school VAT, you see that in the farmers' inheritance tax, you see that in switching off the fuel for pensioners over the winter. Blue Labour's philosophy is not inherently cruel. Glassman's writing on mutualism, dignity, rootedness speaks to something real and valuable, but philosophy in the hands of bureaucrats becomes weaponized. When McSweeny turns Glassman's ideals into punishments, he perverts the very idea of a common good. A politics of virtue becomes a politics of vengeance. And it's not only the Labour politicians who don't toe the line, it's everybody else. Everybody else. In the fate of all, it's the fate of all revolutions, even post-liberal ones, to risk becoming their own mirror image. One Labour MP called this the end of days for the party. That may be melodramatic, but the sentiment reflects a deeper truth. When a party becomes paranoid about its own members, it ceases to be a community. When it suspends the loyal and rewards the compliant, it loses its anchor. The Labour Party, if it continues down this path, may win the next election, but it will govern in a hollowed shell, the body of blue Labour perhaps, but drained of any soul of real Labour. That's not leadership, that's slow motion implosion. We're seeing in the present year, under the guidance of Kemi Badenoch, the destruction of the Conservative Party, and I think we will see over the next Parliament, over the next, let's say, 10 years, the destruction of the Labour Party, because this is where this is going. What we will end up with, I'm not sure. It would horrify me if we end up with a reform government or a part with only reform left to fight against the hard left of Corbyn. So what we've got is two extreme parties, rather than what we had through most of the 20th century, which was two parties coming closer to the centre to gain power. Labour may have been intellectually ready for power, but morally it's at risk of becoming unrecognisable. If Maurice Glassman's dream was to save the party's soul, his disciples may yet preside over its complete destruction. It's like looking at a ghost of a party. It all sounds as if we're on a slippery slope to the destruction of identity.